Welcome everybody, Don Giannetti here, Project 52 Pros, and we're going to talk a little bit about the creative process, moving from the concept to the image. I know some of you, I know all of us struggle with that sometimes. Coming up with a concept can sometimes be harder than making the photograph. So we're going to talk about a few things that I recommend that you think about doing, that you fold into your process so that you are moving from the concept that you have to the image you want to produce. The concept is the very first thing that happens. This is when the art director calls you, creative director, designer, photo editor, etc., and they want to talk about an assignment. Here in Project 52, we just take it as the assignment that you get when the assignment goes up on the day the assignments go up. When you get that, I love pen and paper. I think pen and paper, there's still a power to writing things down. So I would say if you pull out one of your little notebooks and write it down. Write down any special requirements. Now we put that in the assignment. However, I'm always hearing people say, oh, I didn't get that part of the assignment. Well, we have assignment sheets for you to use, and if you don't have an assignment sheet, you should have an assignment sheet created for yourself so that you ask the questions. Is this vertical? Is this square? Is this horizontal? Is this black and white? Is this color? Is this HDR? Do I need a bigger camera for this? Is 35 okay, or do I need medium format? All kinds of questions to ask. Will I need talent? Will I need to shoot this on location? All kinds of things. Write down any of the special requirements. When you do, when you fill it out, ideas will flood your head. They may be good ones, they may be bad ones. It doesn't really matter. They're ideas. So write down the first 3 ideas you see in your head after you get that assignment. What's the first 3? Just write it down. Gal standing in a field holding an apple in her hand with the sun going down behind her. 3 apples on a table with a shaft of light. 2 apples sitting side by side, looking like they're friends on a rock out a stream. Blah, blah. Write it down. Boom, boom, boom. Then ask yourself why those ideas came so quickly. It's not necessarily wrong that they came so quickly. It's not necessarily right. But it is a question to ask. Why did those first 3 ideas pop into your head that fast? Is it because you've seen them before? Because you saw a picture and it reminded you of them? If you've seen that picture before and you thought, oh, okay, well, I'll do this, maybe you should reassess. And when I say reassess, ask yourself this: can I take that shot that I saw in my head and make it better? Or make it mine? Even if it isn't better, can you make it yours? And if you wrote the idea down because you thought it would be easy to do, I want you to reassess that as well. Easy doesn't necessarily mean good or bad, but ask yourself, are you taking the easy way out? Is this the simplest way to get from here to there? Is it going to be the best image? Sometimes a simple image is the best image, but you have to ask that question. I call this the concept becomes real. If your idea seems too simple and you're trying to reassess it, you can also justify it. If the idea comes out and you think, okay, well, what the art director talked about, this apple shoot, and I'd like to get one perfect apple and place it on a piece of marble with some light coming on it. It's a very easy shot to produce, but it could be a very killer image if it's done correctly. And can you justify that? Are you doing that? Why? Because it pulls out the texture of the apple and you'll see this or that or whatever. Your justification, if you can do that, great, you're on the right track. If it's just because you're running out of time and you need something fast, don't bother. Ask yourself what about your idea will make it a creative solution. If it's to shoot an apple and you just sit it on a park bench and take a picture in the sunlight, that may not be a creative solution to what your art director or what the assignment was really about. So you need to think that through. What about your idea, your concept, your vision will make it creative? Can your visual idea be done by anyone, anywhere, anytime? Put an apple on a park bench and take a picture of it. Sounds to me like anybody can do it. And if anybody can do it, it has no value. That doesn't mean you can't take it and sit it on a park bench and using your style, your light, your approach, and all of the things that you can bring to it, that you can't make a killer shot. You can. But that's part of that reassessment and that justification. If you can justify it and it really is going to be creative because of the way you're doing it, then go. Google is your friend. I try to find, I would Google apples. Apples in the studio, photograph of apples, apple images. You're going to have to get through a lot of computer stuff, but apple still life, etc. And see what else is out there. Are there very many similar images to the one that you came up with? Let's say you came up with this shot of an apple on a park bench, and you're going to bring in a softbox and a snoot, and you're going to put the city behind it. You're going to move the park bench up to a hill. You're really going to make a very interesting photo. Are there similar images to that? If there are no similar images to that, rock on. If there's a bunch of similar images to that, reassess. Can you make one better? Can you do it so cool that the other people say, wow, I never want to do that again. It's been done. I know I'm setting the bar really high, folks, and sometimes we don't meet that bar, but we got to reach for it. We don't quit when we're high jumping. We don't quit when we clear the bar. We only quit when we can't clear the bar. So we always push forward. How does your style figure into the work you're planning? In other words, if you are at the point where you're developing a style, and I know many of you have a real good sense of your style coming together, how does the image you're planning work within your style? Generally, it should, because you're planning it. Only when that image is wrong for you does it not work into your style. Only when that image is being created by you because of time or lack of or what have you, will it possibly not do that. In other words, most of you who have a style are going to be able to come up with images that will meet these expectations. What's appealing about the images you're looking at on Google? What works? And forget the typo, I'll fix it. What works? What's appealing about the shots? Let's say you took a Pinterest and you went looking for apples on Google and you stuck about 12 apple shots on Pinterest. What's interesting about it? Is it the light, the composition, the texture, how it's composed, a little of all those things, lens choice? What is it that you gravitated to for those images? And does that fact that you gravitated there, is that part of your style as well? Is that what you're looking at? You're going, these are like, I like to shoot, therefore I can shoot them with my own spin? Or are you looking at them saying, I would never shoot something like this ever, but I really do like what this guy's done, and it's making me have ideas of what I can do? Or you look and you go, this gal shot this shot so awesome. I would never do this shot, but it made me think of texture. And when I thought of texture, I thought of my style. So I'm going to take the apple and there you go. The creative brief. Don't take a shortcut. No shortcuts in the creative brief. Ask yourself, what do you want to show with the image? Do you want to show texture, dimension, size? Do you want to show a gesture? Do you want to show an emotion? What is it you want to do? And what are the shared cultural influences that can help your image? Here's an example of a shared cultural influence. A smile. All cultures smile. A laugh is a shared cultural influence. sadness, loneliness, sunsets, sunrises, something new, something fresh, flowers. All of these things are shared cultural influences. And if you're doing something for local or just, when I say local, maybe it's just Poland or just Italy, then there's all kinds of cultural references that you can use because you're not worried about the world cultural references. Your ad is only going to be seen in the Southwest. So in the Southwest, we can use cultural influences like cactus and desert and sun and heat, those types of things. How can that help you make your image? And what can you do to make that image stand out? Write this down. This is your brief. What are you going to do to make your image stand out from all the rest? It's a picture of a cactus out in the desert with an apple on it. Are you going to go ahead and find a cactus and just set a Fuji apple on it and take a picture of it? Or are you going to do something a little bit more? Because if you just stick an apple on a cactus, anybody, anywhere, anytime could shoot it with any camera. And we have a problem. Or you'll have an image that just won't stand out. And what's the point? Can you show us something? This is one of the things I say all the time. Can you show me something I've never seen before, or something that I have seen before, but in a way that I've never seen it? Lots of macro shots do that. Lots of graphic shots do that. Sometimes you can pull far away or move in very close, or you can light it, or you can provide context for it, or you can do so many things to that picture that makes me smile and go, oh, I've never seen that before. But if you just make that picture that everybody can make anytime, then I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be looking at. It's kind of like if you go to Yosemite and you pull out from in the tunnel and you take a picture of that valley. While you're taking a picture of the valley, you have to be aware that there's probably, it's you and another 140 people, give your closest friends, all parked all along there in the giant parking lot and up on the hill and everywhere else, jumping out with their cameras on tripods, taking the same picture you're taking. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't take it. I'm just saying, are you going to show me something I haven't seen before? Or are you just going to take a picture of the park, a pretty picture of the park? That's fine to do that. But if you want to impress us, you're going to have to do something to show us that shot in a way we haven't seen it before. Otherwise, it's a big yawn. Visual ideas. Visual ideas are cues, contextual icons, things that make us see pictures in our head. Write down 10 to 15 shared cultural influences. Write down 15 visual cues from the assignment. And then take those and kind of pair them up. Make them talk to each other. You'll get some really goofy things, but you'll also say things that you then see. For instance, I'm going to tell everybody listening to this video to not think of a pink elephant and roller skates. And I guarantee you, you all just saw a pink elephant and roller skates. That's how the brain works. You saw a pink elephant and roller skates. We're never going to see that in real life, but you saw one. We can get real detail to ask, how is does the skate strap onto the foot? What color are the skates? And you can start answering maybe because you can see it in your head. Those are shared cultural influences. Here's a list of things I did for new electronics. Okay, shiny, Apple, Android, battery scale, powerful, strap, small, hands-on, teenagers, all of these things. These took me all of about 1 minute. I just typed them as fast as I could. Don't sit and think, and do not censor. Do not say, no, I better not put that down. Put it down. Just came to your brain, put it down. And then I started thinking, okay, these are the assets or the applications or the descriptions of new electronics. Now let me think of some cultural things that we can all share, that shared cultural context. Early adopters, kids on phones, more and more apps, There's an app for that. Time-saving, easy to use, intriguing, personal power, disrupting, challenging, cool. All of those things we share. And we can then start to put them together. Intriguing gears, cool design. Hands-on, expensive. I see an image there. Kids on phones with straps. It could be kind of comical. Small kids with expensive phones. A little baby playing with a big iPhone 6S. It could be a very interesting picture. Cool designs with teenagers because they're all about being cool. They're ubiquitous, expensive, mind-blowing apps. What comes to mind to me? Older folks having fun with their iPhones or Androids. Teenagers have fun with them. How about we change it up and show older folks texting each other at a romantic dinner and they're both in their 70s or 80s. Child solving a huge math equation with their kitty calculator. They've got their iPhone. There's a big blackboard with this incredible thing on there, and we've got the central casting's got the teacher, the math teacher. He's got the glasses and the checkered shirt and jeans, and his mouth is open, and he's like amazed. And there's this little 5-year-old with his iPhone solving the equation. A businessman doing business from a unique environment or location with the device, doing business with the new electronic cool thing in a place he never thought he could do business before. Overseeing a surgical operation while on a mountaintop. Just think of those things. Now assess your possibilities. And this is where it can get a little dicey too. Will the shot that you're thinking be best presented on location? Or will the shot you're thinking best be done in a studio? And why? Answer those questions. Why? Why does it have to be done on location? Why does it have to be done in the studio? I'm not saying that there's no answers. I'm saying there are answers. You need to write them down. Part of your brief. Why is it you decided to do this in the studio? What a part of your vision is making this a studio shot? Should the shot be done in the studio with controlled studio lighting? Is that part of the reason that we're doing on the studio? Or would it benefit from being shot on location with natural or augmented natural light? I mean, does it have to be done in the studio? And if it's done in the studio, are we going to do studio lighting? Are we going to do natural lighting in the studio? Or are we going to go on location and take 10 strobes? Or are we going to go on location and use natural light? And why? All of this why boils down to what's your vision and how do you see this image? Gear assessment. Can you do the shot with the gear you presently own or have access to? Do you need a 300 millimeter lens and you need to rent it to really compress the shot the way you want to compress it? Do you need to rent a 300? Do you need to borrow one from a buddy? Do you have one? Is there special gear that you're going to need to make this shot be the way you expect it to be? And if the answer is yes and you can't get it, is that a problem? If it's a problem, how do you solve it? Talent and props. Do you have access to the talent you'll need? It's one thing to say, oh, you know what? I'm going to do a shot of this beautiful 40-year-old man. He's just going to be the best looking guy ever in a tux standing next to a Lamborghini. And I'm going to have this waiter be serving him a hot meal with the steam coming off. Okay, that sounds cool. That's great. You got a really good looking model with his own tux and you have access to a Lamborghini. Because if you do not, kill it now. Don't get to the last minute and say, oh, you know, I wanted to do this shot with the guy in the tux and a Lamborghini and I couldn't find a Lamborghini. I couldn't find it. Well, that's your fault. You came up with a photograph you couldn't do. Don't do that. Don't come up with photographs that you can't do. First, in your brief, you start to assess What gear do I need? What props and talent do I need? And where can I get them? Maybe you have to hire a model. Maybe you go to Model Mayhem. Maybe you go to Craigslist. Maybe it's the guy next door. Maybe it's a guy you work with or a gal that you work with. Whatever. Get them nailed down so that you can start to put this brief together. And you may have to do a couple different briefs to prepare for some interesting problems that can come along trying to find props and people. So all of this assessment helps you get down to the creative part of it. Sketch it. This doesn't mean you have to draw. There's a big difference between drawing and sketching. Sketch it. This is where my person's going to be. There's going to be a table in front of them, and I'm going to put a softbox over here. I'm going to put a light over on the... Uh-oh. How am I going to hide this light? If I want this light, how am I going to hide that? If I back it up, it's going to spread too far. I better build in my sketch. I better say, okay, I'm going to flag this light off so it just does this. The sketch can look absolutely impossible to decipher for the rest of us, as most of my sketches do. You look at my sketches, you kind of go, well, first of all, nobody can read my writing. I'm not sure I can read my writing very, very often. But the sketches really help you think through the final production of this website. It'll be the last thing that you do in your process here that will help you fine-tune where that image is going to come out, where it's going to be on the scale of creative or failure. That's up to you. If you do all these things, or some of these things, some of you may not have to go through the talent assessment. You already know your talent. You already got your props, everything. A talent assessment is going to take you all of about 12 seconds to go, yep, got it, and move on. And others are going to have to start to think it through. What is it I need? Why do I need it? And where can I get it? Creativity is a process. It's not a goal. It's not a thing. We can't buy it. Can't bottle it. Can't wrap it in a box. It's a process. An ongoing process. It means something different to everybody. I don't think we can teach people to be as creative as we can teach them to process through creativity and make amazing creative discoveries that way. Sometimes you meet somebody who's just instantly creative. That's really cool in their thing, but they may not be creative in some other thing. And that's okay. But I think every one of us has the ability to take a process of creativity and come out the other end with something better than we started with. Something we didn't even know we could do. So that's my little process, my little creativity process. I hope it works for you guys. Love to hear what you think about it, and love to hear if you take these things to heart, how they help you. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you on the critiques.